Hello, welcome to the ABAS project management. This is mainly intended for the ABAS project managers or leads. And if you're not any having doing those roles, please stop the recording and talk to your supervisor. In this session, we'll talk about a number of things. It's mainly relates to the PM and it actually addresses how a project should be managed from ABAS perspective. And there are different slides, and it might take a couple of sessions because we will just play it for 20 minutes at a given time. Then we'll come back and start the remaining. So let's get started. Let me start the slideshow. Okay, so the first thing we'll talk about is project phases and team engagement. Then later on we have other subsequent topics. From the project team engagement and the phases, this diagram it's already known to you already from the overview of the project and the support. So I'll reiterate it one more time. So it's the initiation planning, then blueprint design, realization, final prep, right? And we have the go live and the closure. And you can see from the here we have the PM role. We also have PM over here, PM and solution architect, PM in the final preparation. This is very crucial because it's at this stage the PM needs to get everybody in the loop to make sure that that we are going live. There should be communication going across. And then we have the go live and closure where we make sure that we went through the issues are resolved and it's a stable system for the support to move forward. Next slide is the team and the project phases. So the team, this is also a slide that I carried forward from the overview. And here the same thing, the initiation planning, the blueprint, realization, CBT, UAT, data load, and go live and support. And this is the team that you're going to have for the PM. Solution architect, functional leads, technical leads, data load, and these are different team members that you are going to have. And also one of the key aspects for the PM is to make sure that this particular aspect of the business side is always kind of engaged in the project execution phase. Next, the stakeholder engagement. So from the project layout or how the project team and the business team engages, we can see that the PM and the solution architect, they form a team for the for facing the client. All right, and in the client side we have the sponsor, we have the business stakeholders, and the business users. One of the key is this whole piece comes into picture when there is a project feasibility and demand management process at the client side, which states that well, this project needs to be undertaken, and they have some budget initially allocated to it, and they engage the ABAS to give an estimate for that particular initiative. And when that initiative is taken, there are two documents that we need to work on to begin with. One is called the ROM and the other one is SOW. And we'll go into the detail of the ROM and the SOW, but these are the two documents that actually which is the communication from the ABAS to the client saying, well, these are the functionality that we're going to implement and this is the timeline it's going to take, and these are the cost that will be that will be incurred by the project, and it has to be paid by the client, right? Okay, so for the ROM and project estimate, so definition of ROM, it is a rough order of magnitude, and the definition of SOW is a statement of work, right? And more characteristics of ROM is that it's an initial estimation based on high level requirement. For example, client might say, hey, I need a non-prod purchasing application. So we can hear that what are the different high level requirement the client is asking for. Based on that, PM and the solution architect will talk, and if needed, we can engage other team members from ABAS and try to come up with an estimate saying, well, it's gonna take let's say 500 hours and blah blah blah, so many things, and then we're gonna provide that to the client, right, saying that this is the rough order of magnitude. Then if the client likes it, they will say, well, in that case, give me a statement of work. And this is an agreement. Remember, this is the estimation, the ROM, and SOW is an agreement, and with time and budget to fulfill a well understood requirement. So once the ROM is approved from the client saying that, hey, I think we will do it, then they will ask her for the SOW and then provide the detail, work effort plan, budget, everything, right? And usually for smaller projects, ROM is sufficient, that we can go with that one. But for large projects, both are needed, ROM and SOW, right? And one thing to note that ROM is a very high level, right? So it will vary from 75% to 125% of the SOW. So that's something that we also need to talk to the client, saying that, hey, this is what we're providing, but it might vary, right? And this is the location that for every project, the ROM has to be put into a particular layout, and I'll give you the layout of the in a project, the folder where it should be. But if the ROM and the SOW, it has financial detail, right, it has to be kept in a separate place. It should not be shared with the project team. And in that case, talk to a supervisor that where this document should be, and based on that we can store those. Okay, and before I go to the next slide, let me also touch base a little bit about the SOW, how it should look. I'm sorry, the ROM, how it should look. So in ABAS we have a ROM template that we'll use, and in this ROM template you can see the first two rows is where we're gonna enter the project name, and of course we'll try, if there's a project ID available, right, we can populate there. For example, here that 2014-002 is the project ID. But if we don't have it one, we'll just put the project name and put like 2BD determined, and we can put the product name that what at the end that we're going to provide or we're going to develop. Then we're going to list out the phases of the project, and we'll say it's initiation, requirement gathering, design, configure, build, user acceptance test, cutover task and migration, go live and support. And all those phases, we have to come back and we have to document that how much hours is going to take from the ABAS to get those job done. And usually on the initiation we'll also put a project management timing, that how much is going to take. And once we have all those hours listed, and remember this is based on the high level requirement understanding, then we can put the effort, right? And also we will put a start and end date, saying that given the ABAS resource availability, and of course it has to be discussed with your supervisor, or the program manager, or the CEO, or the managing director, that when we can start the end the project. And we'll take this our effort hours, then we're going to put the financials with it, and then we're going to present that to the client. Okay, so this is a ROM estimate, or the format that we will use for ABAS. For the SOW, I don't have a template yet, because we're going to come up with one, but that will list out a more detail. It will talk about the description, the detailed requirement, what you understand, and who is going to do which part of it, what is the business responsibility, what is ABAS responsibility, and then we're gonna put the time frame, and it will be signed by both the parties. It will be signed by ABAS, and also it will be signed by the client, and that will give us the authority or authorization to start working on that project. Now going back to the presentation, is another key in information that the PMs and the leads will use. The reason that I'm using PM and the lead, to me, in some cases, depending on the project, in a scope, a lead might act as a PM, where the PM role will be like 10% of his total effort, right? So for the PM and the lead, another thing, important thing, is the RACI matrix. Okay, and this RACI matrix is a standard, a PMI methodology. It's accepted across the board, uh, which is the RACI stands for responsible, accountable, consult, informed. All right. And for a given project, we can have different tasks. It can be, probably we'll try to track it at a very high level task. For example, the requirement, right? So we have to consult the client sponsor. PM is accountable to produce the requirement. Lead and architect is responsible, right? And business analysts are consult, because they're going to provide the feed for the requirement. Coming to design, the client will be informed, PM will be informed, lead and the architect, they're accountable. They should produce the document, the design document, and business analyst, they are required, responsible to give the documentation, and developer consult, and infrastructure folks are consult, because developers are going to do development, so there has to be consult as well in the design phase. The next one is the development, is client sponsor informed, PM is informed, lead architect, they're accountable, business analyst is a consult, then developer is responsible, and infrastructure is consult as well. So for this major phases or the task, the project PM and the leads has to have this RACI matrix, so that we know for every phase who we should hold responsible, and who are accountable to deliver certain phases. The next one is the documentation management. So this is one of the key aspect, that because when we do a project, from the ABAS perspective, it is not only that we're delivering a product to a client, we're also providing we will also provide a document, a number of documents to clients, and also we'll have a number of documents for the project team as well, because we also need to interact among ourselves. So let me switch back to slideshow. Okay, so for the documentation management, right? So every project, every project must. So this is. Okay, let me go back. Let me change the tip of the pen. So every project must be well documented at different stages of the project, and the reason is that a well documentation helps to govern and manage the project. Also, a must for support transition, because at the end we have to transition our efforts to the support so that they can manage the application and do the enhancements and bug fixing. So this is a must for the support team as well. And from the ABAS perspective, every year we're going to have a folder, because right now we will manage it through a folder layout, but as we get matured we will use other tools to manage the project documents. So let's say for 2015, we have a project called like DX Grid, right? And this DX Grid has 5 different folders: the PM folder, then the requirement folder, design, build, integration test and UAT, and go live. So these are the first, or this is the first hierarchy, this is the second hierarchy, and there will be some more hierarchy within these folders. So let me switch back to the directory structure. So this is the project DX Grid that we're looking into, and these are different folders, right? And so you can see that for the PM we have certain documentations over there. For requirement we don't have anything because it's a ABAS internal project, but in case of client we're going to have a detailed design requirement document, and we can document the requirement in Excel, Microsoft Excel, or I'm sorry, as a part of the ABAS we're going to use that Apache Open Office, and in that we have a spreadsheet application, and we're going to use that one. Then we have the design, and we also have the because DX Grid has multiple aspects to it. One is the front end, then there's a back end. So for every aspect, we're going to have a design document. Then we're going to have the build section. Under the build, we're going to have the unit test documentation, then unit test files for the DX Grid server. So all those build related documents has to reside in the build folder. Then we have the integration and UAT test, and here we're going to have the functional test, integration test, UAT test templates. And then on the go live we're going to have the asset list, what we're going to migrate to production, and also we will have any documentation for user documentation and support documentation. That all has to be stored in this go live folder. So let's take a break for now, and we'll come back and we'll continue with the next slides. See you in a bit.